people that are new to the conscious community, especially people who are either new in Pharaoh fans or just like young Pharaoh fans. And at this point, I got to throw in SETI fans too. I need to have a fireside with you. You've disappointed me. The reason why I'm offering this challenge is I've been sniping at Pharaoh fans recently to see just where they're getting their shit from, because if they're getting it from him, are they fact checking them? Even though I've been doing recently, I got a story about one from a couple of years ago. Man, but really I'd say 1 year ago, around this time last year, maybe a little earlier. But also, I don't think you're doing this stuff right, this conscious stuff. I want the community to be smarter. I don't see how a multitude of critical thinkers can lose. I'm not going to tell you to unsubscribe from Young Pharaoh. I'm going to recommend new teachers. And you don't have to take them, but if you don't take them, I'm offering a challenge. I want you to do something that nobody supports their line of either thinking or their schooling or whatever has done. I want you to tell me what methods you use to check to see if their sources are credible, valid, and true as you know it based on however you cross-referenced it. Just how do you check it mainly? Because I'll get to a story where I'm asking this dude that and he failed that miserably. And he was drunk off the realness before he failed it. You know, it's important. I mean, a collective of critical thinkers in the conscious community is a force. And people know this. That's one of the reasons why Pharaoh is promoted in theory. Yeah, the first thing they did was they broke the two rules of debating. You don't debate what you don't know. And them fools don't know how to do anything with the Egyptian writing. And the second rule is you don't take a debate unless you're willing to change your mind. So if you're hard-headed, there's something wrong with you. And it might sound like a contradiction. Well, here's the thing. Like, knowing something is based on knowledge. But you can't assume your knowledge is absolute. If you think it is, then you'll never expand. So if you're going into a debate, you have all your information, everything. You know this stuff. But in the back of your mind, you got to be thinking, if they have something that's better than what I have, that is the new path. You know, because the path to power doesn't go through delusions. And I'm going to talk about this a lot before and after I start recommending teachers. You know, the path to power, you don't need no fake-ass melanin magic and evil Neanderthal monkey men and savior space alien races. You're doing it wrong. Because really, man, African genetics, as it's defined, the sub-Saharan ancestry stuff, man, that's all over the place in history. And that's building Stonehenge, that's Vikings, all over fucking Europe and Asia. And I can go to the bookstore and just flip through books in Egypt. Man, I already know this shit. This is wrong. I know this is. And I'm not qualified to be a Amen Ra squad. You know, and I'm not saying that because I'm bitter. I'm saying that because I'm glad. That means there are master teachers who are that far beyond the books in the library. I can get that cutting edge knowledge I need to do what I got to do. Because right now, I won't say right now, I'm revising and tweaking a movie script. But I had to really get deep into the cutting edge stuff of ancient Egypt. So I went out and got some teachers, some people to study from. I didn't care what they look like. It could be whatever race or whatever. But it just so happened I found the best teachers when it came to Egyptology were African Americans, because they had built from a legacy. And I would say a great many of them are in Amen Ra squad. So they are your first teacher if you're taking this challenge. If you can't, break down in the comments how you research this motherfucking shit, then you need some teachers. Now, there's a lot of bickering in the Amun-Ra squad. Sometimes they can get petty. But after this debate, they're trying to rise above this bullshit. So definitely saying you need to subscribe to the Amun-Ra squad and just hear them out for at least a year. Study under these teachers, the ones I'm recommending. Because I'm not like some groupie dude who I just want to, hey fellas, could I join the squad? You know what I mean? Like, I got shit to do, and maybe one, if I was really on my game, like if I really were able to hyper focus and just master certain aspects of African history, they'd come to me. They were like, dude, 42. You know what I mean? But that's not my path right now. So that's a challenge. Either explain how you fact check and cross-reference YP's material, young Pharaoh. Because let me tell you, they ran from that debate. Meta-netters deciphered. I mean, how are you going to spend like 30 minutes talking about, that's what said he did, talking about how Greek is a homosexual language, and you're debating with a dude named Pharaoh. You all don't know that Pharaoh is a Greek word? I'm like, why you got your name from a homosexual? What the fuck is a homosexual language? Ain't a goddamn such thing as a homosexual language. You don't have shit for material when you want to say a language that millions of people speak, even though Pharaoh said that nobody on the earth is speaking it. I mean, they were just a bunch of incoherent. Now, I won't say incoherent. They're awfully good at running the bullshit. They're awfully good. I have to pop my collar to the bullshit runner. Yeah, I know some people are going to hear this and I'm like, well, what? Because some people are like, well, even if it is deciphered, how can that help us with single mothers and fucking pay rent and build, and that's not a bad question. We need an economy. You know what I mean? But here's the thing. There's 3 points to that. First, and all them fucking Greek players, them philosophers from Greece, and where did they go to study? They went to the temples of Egypt. They weren't sitting there talking about we can't learn to read this shit. It was like, man, how can we be down with these motherfuckers so we can learn to read the stuff? And everybody was attacking Egypt, man. Damn Persians or cutting up pharaohs. Read about that, dude. So yeah, they had to make some deals with the Greeks that they might not have done if they were in a position of power. So yeah, they taught them fools. That's where Western civilization came up out of Africa. All these whitewash movies, they don't even do well in the theater, but because they're played all over the world, they still make their money off these damn whitewashed culture vulture movies. And what are we doing with ancient Egypt like that? And I'm not just saying that because of Neov. And I'm thinking of changing the name of the script and the beefy to Neov. I'm saying that because, man, that's your economy right there. You master Egypt, you can make it just off of movies. Because fuck, we can make a way better movie than this goddamn whitewash shit, Gods of Egypt. Fucking Moses coming this stupid ass story. Nobody even has it. That story isn't even Egyptian. The story was made up long ago. Nothing about that shit. Like it's saying, they calling it Pharaoh. It's a Greek word. That's insane. They would have got shredded at the debate, running shit like that. So anyhow, excuse my language. I'm a little. Oh yeah, another reason. The Amun-Ra squad branches in economics, community building, and all that. I'm recommending teachers that are not on that. That are not just in the history and all that. Let me throw out one. I'll say Jason Black. I don't really have a lot of reasons for Jason Black. But let me include a Jason Black link. Let me write this down. Hold on a second. Jason Black is one of your teachers. And by proxy of Jason Black, Black Truth Forever, Mona, that clique, man, for real. And that's, I can't say that, for me, it's just philosophy. Get people from being cheap. Also, I want to give props to Sonetta, because for one thing, and criticize him on another aspect. I believe in having debates. People have different schools of study, and they might come to some conflict. And you can learn a lot when people are putting everything on the line, especially if they're not running to their living room to do it, like if they're doing it under scrutiny. But this debate was absolutely ridiculous, spinger as shit. You know, and holding on to all this and entertaining all this pseudoscience, it's not good in the long run. And I'll get to why. And I won't even call it pseudoscience as much as it is just deflection, untestable. Because if it was pseudo and it was testable, that'd be a different thing. You know, then we'd have to say, well, maybe this ain't pseudoscience. You're testing the shit. You know, without having a goddamn crip walk in an astral projection or whatever. But Sonjedi still doesn't get it. Why do you have the Nubians standing up in the debate like that? Like, you need to really push these people to the cut and deal with the scientists, man, and not all this Springer shit. Like, you couldn't see all this fuckery from Pharaoh and Seti a mile away. And he released a video where he said he could, but he didn't think that they were going to run from the debate because they were talking too much shit. And I get that, because the man said he wouldn't miss the debate for $1 million. Now this fool's talking about money. If you don't believe me, just look at my videos. He literally said he wouldn't miss the debate for $1 million. That leads me to another one of your teachers. Because, you know, now we're talking politics, man. TheMindofMarcus is your new teacher. He's new to me, very new. But I could say right off the bat, he was two things. He was a master teacher, and he was honest. And he deals with something that I think is very important, and that's how to knock these anti-reparation arguments out. You need to be able to do that. You get to, and politics, understanding how reparations are a political issue. All this anti-voting shit, man, we got up, down the ballot issues. Give a fuck about Trump and Hillary. You got real political issues. He understands that. And he's honest. The reason why I say he's honest, you take young Pharaoh. He centers on like stereotypical stuff that women want to hear and shit. And the black woman is gods. Man, this dude is straight up, man, I bang a white chick when I feel like it. That's what he talks about. He doesn't give a damn. He's not, most of his fans are already women, at least the ones that donate. But he's still honest with them. He's like, man, I fuck with the trailer park chicks. You know, how many motherfuckers in the, I won't even say he's in the conscious community because he sort of has a vanguard of thinking. But anyway, how many people that are reaching out to sisters are just going to be that straight up honest and not run the game? So he's honest, and you really do need some honest teachers. Some people that are going to tell you what's up, especially on a political level. So definitely subscribe to Mind of Marcus. Watch all of his videos. Definitely. I'm getting to the crux of this. Because I need a smarter pool in the conscious community. And let me tell you. And I get that the ratchet shit sells. You know, Pharaoh, he can tell a good story about some super magical melanin aliens and shit. And let me tell you, like, yeah, I get watching some women squab over some weave. It can be entertaining. But what? You know what's better than that? Rising above that and spreading your culture. How are you going to spread your culture? You got fucking women in headlocks snatching weave off. And that's all that this debate was just ratchet shit. There's like 5 people now in Ra Squad that are demonstrating how they decipher the ancient Egyptian writing, bro. So that's my only criticism to Sonjedi. What the hell is he doing? I'm seeing something else in the conscious community, so I'm going to recommend another teacher, Tariq Nasheed. Subscribe. The one thing about Tariq is he does what he says he's going to do. He said he was going to Haiti, and niggas in Haiti. By contrast, like I said, he said you couldn't pay him $1 million to miss the damn debate that he missed bitching about money. He was going to do it for free. You're going to do it for negative money. Then you count the man's money to the goddamn cent about how Sonjedi might make. How the fuck you know what he's going to make? If that was your game, then why aren't you telling us how the economy is going to hit? Why aren't you giving us financial and investment advice? You know, you don't count a man's money. You know what I'm seeing? I'm seeing symptoms of single motheritis among dudes and girls. Actually, in a sense, I might be seeing it worse among the girls, which is discerning. Because, goddamn, I mean, neither one of you really, if you got that shit, you're not geared to produce offspring. But I'm saying, take on Tariq If he can do nothing else, he can tell you about how to be an adult. You know, and the Hidden Colors is a thorough introduction to all the bullshit that have been hidden from our history. Give him credit for that. Nobody else was doing that. You know, so yeah, Tariq Nasheed, subscribe. That's your new teacher. And less than a week ago, Asar Imhotep predicted that young Pharaoh was going to be used by racists to make black people look bad. And man, it's happened. This YouTube channel, Tegero, man, they did a breakdown on young Pharaoh that was worse than the damn shit that YK the Truth does. They just slaughtered his ass. And we're talking shit about how dumb black people were the whole way. Just racist shit. If you wanted to be intellectually honest, you don't pick the village idiot and use them as an example. And let's be real. Young Pharaoh is a village idiot of the conscious community. Watch the video by Tegero. I'll provide a link. And you know what? They are your new teacher. You need to learn how, like, this mainstream racism works. Because you're like, well, they're not racist. They're speaking the truth. They're analyzing the village idiot calling him a Black Lives Matter member. Know the game. That's another reason why. Subscribe by Tariq Nasheed is a teacher, but you also need to understand how these motherfuckers get down and how to rise above them. I can explain some of that, and I will in this video. Where I talk about how you can see white supremacy. It's right outside. It's not down the street. As soon as you walk outside, look to the left, to the right, you can see it. And I got video, it's called Somebody Come Get Her, White Supremacy is Dancing Like a Stripper. So you got a new teacher, me. Because I don't have this jealousy vibe. And I love this. Look, I make decent money right now, and I'm trying to save it and all that so I can build for the folk. But let me tell you right now, I see black people with more than me, I'm happy. I see black people with less than me, I'm sad. I don't have this crab in the barrel vibe. Because I know the potential of your culture if you get your shit right. And let me tell you, you are failing at this conscious shit. If Pharaoh's your teacher, man, that's why I'm doing this video. Because I'm not trying to steal his shit. I'm trying to expand your shit. Like I said, I got issue with the Springer debate, but I don't blame Sonjedi for them running from the debate at all. They're using all this religious talk, calling the Amun-Ra squad a serpent, a circle of serpents, and Suge Nader and his demonic greed and satanic contract. You're falling for that in 2016. Come on now. Might as well go fucking spend your money with the pastors on a Sunday if you're going to fall for that bullshit. Sonjedi was offering them motherfuckers damn near $1,000 an hour. Really, more than $1,000 an hour if you get down to it. And they're talking about that, man, and he gives them their shit so they can sell it. Man, you don't get that deal from Microsoft or CNN. You can't just start selling fucking copies of their shit bootleg. So I was like, yo, you can do what you want to do. All he's saying is, I get to sell your shit. I get to sell the video you're in. Everybody signs contracts like that. How the hell are you going to make money if you're going to sell the fucking shit that you're hosting? You know, so that's why I'm doing this, man. I'm seeing too many people that are buying into this fucking devil contract bullshit. It wasn't about a devil contract. It was about motherfuckers getting worked at that debate. Like I said, your new teacher, Amun-Ra squad. Matter of fact, every member of the Amun-Ra squad subscribed to their shit. Smash, Real Black Atheist, Asar site, Sonjedi site, all of it. This man Asar predicted this shit. He predicted that white folks would be making an example out of all of us based on Pharaoh's idiocy. Listen to their stuff. At least a year. You know, don't judge them because, man, they're flawed individuals. People's got a lot of issues with Tariq Nasheed. Listen to their shit. Shut the fuck up and learn. Because, man, if SETI's your teacher, you're doing it wrong. Well, let me get to the crux of this. I used to read a lot of fiction. And I was reading this book called Crusade. And it was like a fictional Genghis Khan, and they're attacking like a fictional Europe. And they're coming in, these rowdy-ass agents, they coming in the horde. They're fighting gnolls and orcs and other type of stuff. And now they're about to attack a king who's kind of like King Arthur, like Even though he has he has orcs working for him and dwarves working for him because they're trying to get at these Asians because these Asians ain't bullshit, man. They cruising through, knocking over towns, cities, whatever. So they get into a fight with them, right? And they're fighting them, and the Asian dudes, and they on horseback, like I said, it's like Genghis Khan. They just take off. They run away. So this one black dude, he's meeting with the king, and he's a general, major general. I think his name was Farrell or Scarl Bloodaxe. And he says to the king, well, actually, the king first, he tells him, he's like, man, they ran from us. People are heartened because they saw that these motherfuckers got scared and ran. So Farrell Bloodaxe, he's telling the king, I don't think they ran. I think they was just filling us out because, we weren't fighting all of them. This was just, they filling us out. And the king is like, man, we got people who don't want to be here this time of year fighting some rowdy ass Asians. The fact that they're happy is good. We need to keep morale up. Let's not, start talking about why they ran. The motherfuckers ran because they scared. That's bringing people's heart up, bringing up their confidence. Let's ride with that. And the brother, Farrell Bloodaxe, he says, man, and I'm not kidding. For some reason, they just threw this black dude in, like the conscious brother who's like always a sidekick in the movies and shit. That's how he was in this book. And he says to the king, he says, man, nothing is, I'm paraphrasing, but nothing good comes from dishonesty. Let's tell him the truth. And the king didn't listen to him. And man, them Asians came, they fucking did the same thing. They're fighting, and them Asians just took off running. Now all the people are saying, oh man, look, they were scared, they run. Let's chase after them. They could have never chased after these fools on horseback because, they're better on the horse. But they chase after them, they run into a big ass ambush, and they get fucked off. And that's exactly what I'm seeing right here, unfortunately. Now, I'll give you an example. Because first, about a year ago, I think I mentioned this, I was talking to one Pharaoh fan in the comments section of a video. And I cared less about it at the time. And this dude was seriously believing that the stars were going to align and the vibrations from the stars were going to invigorate his pineal gland and activate his melanin magic in the age of Aquarius, like 2040 or something like that. And this motherfucker was firm. And if I talk to him about how, black folks can build and all that, he's like, what for? This shit's gonna go like, well, one crazy motherfucker ain't that big of a deal, but I mean, this is fucking like, this guy is just an excuse not to do shit because, magic. And I argued with him. I said, man, if you ain't doing nothing, you ain't really trying to gather resources and build an economy, them white folks, they just gonna take science, inject melanin, which they've done. White people have injected melanin in their skin and made themselves dark. You can do that in the brain too. You already got neuromelanin in the brain. And they're going to kick your ass in magic because they have the resources. They got the money for the wands. They got the money for the staffs. They got the money for the amulets. They got the money for the familiars. They got all the spell components that you need to cast spells, if that's the criteria. So I'm gauging the pulse of the conscious community and the spirit of the conscious community after this whole shitstorm with the bullshit debate. And I'm seeing people just don't get it. So I'm arguing with one Pharaoh fan, and I want to take you through this one. And this will explain a little bit about how I do research. So I'll show some screenshots to validate what I'm saying. But there's this dude named Tyrone Bell, and he said the so-called meta-netter has not been deciphered, period. So I respond, then why did the dudes who took the position run from the debate? He said they were blocked from doing their thing in New York. That's not running, that's infiltration. Blocking is infiltration. Usually blocking is like the opposite of infiltration. Second, you have seen the live stream they did. You know that you've been had by every nigga watching for that shit to been or vouching for that shit being deciphered. So I respond, they ran. Nobody blocked them. They chose to turn around, turn down $1,500 an hour. YP talked a gang of shit. And so I asked him, first I said, when I fact check YP's teaching, I find obvious bullshit and misinformation. So I asked, how have you fact checked his teachings? What methods do you use to check his sources? He responds, bullshit, pay attention. Then he says, if you don't know, you just don't know, is the point. And I'm going through this for a reason, because most people won't even go as far as this dude does. But when I pressed him on, you'll see. All right, so I respond, go to Wudjao's channel. They read off the walls once a week. Why don't you study the language and write a book on why they are conning everyone? I'll wait. It's not real. You definitely need to see SETI break down where all the so-called meta-netter reading dudes get their sources from. When you peep SETI's breakdown, you'll see just how full of shit dudes really are. Crack a scholarship without a doubt. You've been had. Sorry, I respond. The same SETI that ran from the debate, I'm staying on that. SETI, because if you're gonna win a debate, and he already said that he wouldn't miss it if you paid him $1 million, you show up. He knew he was gonna get his foot in his ass in that debate. That's why he wasn't there. So SETI is only doing that because he's either too stupid or ill-tempered or lazy to learn how to read Egyptian writing. I already learned how to read basic shit like names and places. It's not possible to fake an entire system. Too many people from different areas, creeds, and nationalities use the same method to read the script. It's too many people for a conspiracy. That's common sense, which is something YP fans don't have, because the dude tells obvious lies, like a 15 to 18 million year old PlayStation pyramid, the fake movie spider, the face in the moon, the Photoshop alien babies, the Neanderthal bullshit. I could go on and on. I'm smart enough to see through his lies and fact check the authenticity of the squad's ability to read the ancient text. Unfortunately, you aren't smart enough to do that. Humble thyself, learn, and you will quickly surpass YP and SETI, for they are idiots. So he says, until you actually see the breakdown, you won't get it. Now, I've seen most of SETI's shit. This dude was on the fanboy stuff, because SETI made so many mistakes. I'm not, like I said, I'm not even qualified to be on the Amun-Ra squad. They're going to do a dissertation that's more worthy, but I could have done one. I don't really have the time, but I'm looking at it. I know I could have broke that bullshit down easy. He says, because I also thought it was legitimately deciphered. However, when or if you watch SETI break down the sources, you'll see what I mean. Believe me, I understand where you're coming from. But again, you got to see and hear the facts on where all this bullshit come from. So I'm responding. I said, how do you fact check Pharaoh and SETI's sources? Asar uses multiple African languages to decipher meta-netter. Everyone agrees that it's not 100% deciphered, and the pronunciations are like 50%. His work is published to be analyzed. You can't call that cracker scholarship because he uses African sources to decode African language. How have you fact-checked Asar and SETI? So now I'm asking, how have you fact-checked the Amun-Ra squad, too? See the video and research the sources provided. Then the disappointment will set in like it did for me over a day ago. Everyone agrees until they cite the sources. This is dumb shit. So how do you personally fact check SETI? I'm back on this. So then he responds the same way you research sources provided. Like, he's not telling me how he does it. He's not giving me examples. He says, what do you mean? As far as lies, the lies I've seen are poor fact checks in regards to paranormal videos, which I'm beyond. That's why I said he's young and in no way perfect. Poor fact checks on paranormal videos. So he can't fact check a paranormal video, but I didn't even go on to that. Like, if he can't do that, then he's not qualified to do shit. I'm saying, give me an example, and this is me responding, of how you verify their teachings are correct or at least strong. I can give you example of how I verified that YP's teachings on Neanderthals, albinism, and the origins of white people and genetics were wrong. I made a video about it. Give me an example of how you cross-reference the sources on MetaNet are not being translated. What collaborated and substantiated these sources? It took them 3 hours, and he's responding, it took them 3 hours apiece, and are you kidding? Now listen to this. I said one example, not the whole fucking 3 hours, so he's deflecting. So now he writes, on another note, Neanderthal, NEAN, Northeast Anarchist Network Nation. DER, derivative chromosome, a structure rearranged chromosome. TH, the AL, albino country in Europe. Now, he goes on with more, but let me just pause right here. This dude just wrote out a bunch of nonsense. The NEAN does not stand for no Northeast Anarchist Network Nation. DER does not stand for derivative. So he's trying to give me an example of how he fact checks something else. He says they know that they are and have the whole alphabetical system to communicate. Oh, wait, let me see. They know what they are and have a whole alphabetical system to communicate with inconspicuous and intelligently. They created these words to know the actual definition of their esoteric definition. One must, to know the actual definition of the esoteric definition, one must definitely study linguistics and etymology values of parables. What is this that Pharaoh thinks that you disagree with? Now, there's a reason why I took it to Neanderthals, because that's my territory. You know, the Arm and Ra Squad can, while watching TV or playing video games or eating, just slaughter Pharaoh's bullshit and SETIs. I can do the same when we go in this route. And there's a reason why I brought it there, and there's a reason why this is an example. So he asks, what is it about Pharaoh that you disagree with? Now, for a moment, I make a mistake in this little debate, is I get off the fact that he still hasn't gave me one example of how he verifies a source. But I get off that for a reason, because I want to take him into deep waters. With Neanderthal everything, being mixed with Neanderthal does not make people, this is me speaking, people less human, and certainly not 96% human. He has said over and over that white people are 96% human. The only and that's something that the white folks got on his ass for, which is ridiculous. I'll explain why. The only Neanderthals tested so far had dark skin in the same way that people who are considered black do. Where did I get my information from? I already told him where I got my shit from and how to check it. I got a video, Black Neanderthals and Eurocentrism. I'll break it down. He has said over and over that they are white. Major African tribes were mixed with Neanderthals, including Yoruba, by proxy most African Americans. But I'm saying if it's in Yoruba, it's in most African Americans. There might be some truth to that. And he said black people are not mixed with Neanderthal, which is, like I said, false. And he got that shit from white folks. So, it's a big hypocrisy. He gets a lot of his shit from mainstream science. And there's nothing necessarily wrong with that. It's how you vet the science. Because in the Black Neanderthal video that I did, like I said, watch it. Subscribe, watch it. I note how Eurocentrism puts a spin on what the facts in the study were producing. They rarely try to spin the facts today because they get caught doing that, and man, they're shut down. It's this big, racist science uproar. After they present the study, if it's something that they don't like, if it doesn't get publicity, like fucking King Tut's and his family's genetic tests, Nefertiti, Queen T, Amenhotep III, they were all ancestry tested. The media don't report that. So it's the reporting, and I talk about that in the Black Neanderthal video, because it's Black Neanderthal and Eurocentrism. But anyhow, I'm continue to read my response. YP said white people are not albinos. And, I'm just going by with what I disagree with. White people called albinos, people called albinos an albino animals share the same genes that are responsible for light skin, hair, freckles, etc., which supports evolution, which he teaches against. YP is right. A race of albinos is relatively new, but the Neanderthals are old, so they would not have been used to create a race of albinos. This doesn't make sense when the only Neanderthals tested so far were black. There's a video on my channel called Black Neanderthals and Eurocentrism where I talk about my sources. I wasn't even setting out to fact check Pharaoh on this one. I'm exploring a lead and combining cold research. So he responds, I'll make it plain. Now he's starting to sound snobby, which is good. Bring that on. Anyhow, and interesting, because I thought the dude was just a dumbass and not even capable of trying to sound smart. But now he's at least trying to sound smart. He says, I'll make it plain. The word Neanderthal is a created word. The actual primate named, I'm going to get him on that. But anyway, the actual primate named Neanderthal is named Neanderthal because that was a primate that was subjected to a rearrangement of chromosomes. Now, as for the Nile Valley African, they are the only ancient race of people that were not subjected to any primate genetics, and in fact, the complete opposite of all mankind. All the results of genetic evolution, blah, blah, blah. I mean, he goes in on this bullshit. Actual humans were both male and female. I mean, what the fuck is... He said, then he gets on me, your poor comprehension is causing you confusion, no pun intended. At this point, I see where you're jumping tracks. So again, it doesn't, if one doesn't know, then they just don't know. The albino has nothing to do with the Caucasus beast, except, use the wrong except, being compared with the likes of a pale man. That's it. You're going off subject with this albino riff, explains how poorly you comprehend the etymology presented, the facts of why humans' descendants are strictly ancient Nile Valley Africans is out there. But again, I'm not good reading this stuff. One must be studied. He said one must be studied. This is not information learned, and I mean, he's spelling something, learned and understood overnight or even by the unworthy of the information. One must be of the blood. Now, this is how he does his fact checking. He's saying you can't understand this unless you're of the blood. Dominant O negative. Anyone outside that can't comprehend the ancient knowledge fully is a priest. So unless you have dominant O negative blood or you're a priest, that's how he fact checks them. Everyone is not qualified for that title. This is why there's so many people banging on pseudoscience. He can't stand on his square. He's saying now he's just trying to sound smart. So now I'm going back to it. You aren't, and here's my response. You aren't asking my questions. How are you testing this information? I already recommended a video where I tested what I presented. Because if you're going to just deflect and say I need to be fucking dominant O blood, I don't even know my blood type. I could be fucking O blood dominant, I don't know. And give less than a fuck. Blood is liquid that moves oxygen through your body. The fuck? I mean, or I gotta be a priest. I gotta be a priest to know. So I'm like, dude, I'm not no goddamn priest and fuck the blood. I know this shit. So I said, you're wrong on so many levels. First, we are all primates. If you're applying the word to Neanderthals, you're using the word wrong. Show me, and that's the truth. You're using English, you're speaking an English language, you're using an English word. If you're going to use the word, stand on your shit. The word, by definition, humans are primates. Neanderthals are primates. Fucking monkey in the tree is a primate, an ape. And I give the definition of a primate a little bit later because he wanted to fucking use that bullshit again. And I had to check him. You know? And then I asked, it sounds ridiculous. Oh yeah, I said, show me a link to this etymology of the word, Neanderthal. It sounds ridiculous because English did not exist, so how do you have an acronym based on English in relation to the creation of a race that predates the language? Like I said, watch my video and study the links. White people are objectively albino. When science studied the pigment of Neanderthals and Denisovans, they looked for albino genes. My video demonstrates this. When they found that they had the same albino genes as dark-skinned people, i.e. Yoruba and Melanesians, and not the same as the Irish and the other white people tested, they determined that Neanderthals had dark skin. The same albino genes are in the animal kingdom. So for you to say albino has nothing to do with the Caucasus beast is absolute nonsense. They have the exact same genes, and so do albino animals. In nature, light skin, hair, fur, scales are governed by the same mechanics. And I could say even the same genes, not just the same mechanics. People did not come from no damn Caucasus Mountains. That is their recent myth. White people have always been. Just look at your palms. White skin predates humanity. It's just not viable. It's just not viable. So a race of albino people is new, and it's not viable in Africa. It's too damn hot. So you had the occasional albino here and there, but everybody had the albino genes to produce a mutation. Some had different versions of those, so they produce it more often. But anybody can just mutate and be pale or whatever. But once you got a whole bunch of people that have mutated, and there's an island where this is happening, where they've got like 1 out of every 100 people is an albino. Let's see. If you look at white people as they appear in the family tree, this notion that they were engineered is nonsense. They're related to the melanated people they are close to. White Northern Euros are mostly albino Indians, while Southern Europeans are mostly East, Northwest African with some admixture from other Africans. The same is true with their language and cultures. That is why you end up with DNA tests like this. And I show them a DNA test of a woman who would pass as white, but she's got like damn near, like her top ancestry is the Sudan and Somalia. Okay, so watch my video, follow the link, do your homework, because you just presented a bunch of nonsense. You can't afford to be miseducated. These fuckers will create diseases based on objective differences, not esoteric shit for priests. We should be wondering why the most albinoid people, in parentheses, gingers, are the most resistant to HIV. Now, and that goes back to that story about For All Blood Act. You got to have a sense of practicality about yourself. Because white folks, if they're looking to use genetic warfare and disease, which they've done, they're not going to go out there and fucking shake some fucking holy water on the ground with the priest and create some shit. They're going to look at the real differences. And I'm saying that the real differences, as demonstrated, they are a fixed group of albinos. Now, how they got to that point, man, that's a good debate, man. It could be vitamin D. I don't know. It could be ultraviolet rays and not just fucking common sense or, skin cancer and all that. I don't know. So now you respond. You just wrote a bunch of nonsense. You need the medical apartheid book ASAP. It's a good book, but it has nothing to do with the fuck we're talking about. Anyhow, they got you. When you cite their sources from an Rh negative foundation, so now it's like, I can't use sources from a certain blood type. And I don't want to read through this. I mean, this dude just starts going off. Like, he can't, and remember, I came back to it. How do you fact check young Pharaoh? Nothing. So I'm challenging y'all. If you want to say, fuck my teachers, fuck you, this is how I fact check his information, and you can drop it in the comments, then you pass the challenge. I'm down with that. Show me how you fact check his sources. Show me his sources. Show me how you cross-reference them. Because you can look at the video, and I'll show you how I do it. Black Neanderthals and Eurocentrism. Genetic massacres have went on for centuries so that the bones seem more and more authentic. Man is devolved intelligence and primate is an evolved beast. Now he's just making up shit. He's freestyling now. I've rendered him an idiot. If, however, you've comprehended them incoherently, but because you follow the design that the caucus tenure has deemed scholastic academic sources, you will be subject to sharing design falsified information. The fuck is he, again, talking in circles. Example, today there are enormous amounts of black people that are mixed genetically with Neanderthal by chattel slavery, blah, 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 blah. And then at the end he says, I might watch your video. So and I respond again, where are the sources that you have, and how have you tested them? I can answer that question. It's not nonsense for me. I have checked it. Thus, I don't just believe it, I can stand on it. Your first paragraph said nothing, and he was just rambling. So I present the definition of primate. Primate, plural noun primates, a mammal of an order that includes the lemurs, the bush babies, tarsiers, marmosets, monkeys, apes, and humans. Just because it's primate, and it's not primate, it's primate. Primate. Okay? They're distinguished by hands, not paws, not hooves, hands, hand-like feet, and forward-facing eyes, with the exception of humans, are typically agile tree dwellers, and some humans can get down in the tree. You know, you can give them a vine and they turn into Tarzan. Don't use the word unless you are using the word, else I don't know what you're talking about. The example I gave of Yoruba are not African Americans, they are Africans. Some African tribes are mixed with Neanderthal, including some that are ancestors of African Americans and ancient Egyptians, Yoruba. So I post that. Now, this is an African tribe that has Neanderthal, the ancestors of Yoruba, Maasai. So how did the Yoruba get it? Probably from their ancestors, the Maasai, another important or popular African tribe, the Khoisan. What are they known for? Having left Africa and come back. So why is it surprised that they have Neanderthal admixture? So I'm, you know, and in that article there were more than that. So I'm saying, no, you don't need this fucking chattel slavery shit, you know, but whatever. So many of the Nile Valley tribes were mixed with Neanderthal outside of Africa in ancient times before a race of albinos. This is even true with the Yoruba, who are now in West Africa and America. Most African Americans are mixed with Yoruba. Race is 100% opinion. Now, I'm not saying this because I'm some kumbaya integration Negro. You can listen to the rest of my shit on my channel, and you can see that that's not me. I'm more often than not sniping at white supremacists, not fucking Pharaoh fans. You know, and I'll give an example of that. But I'm giving this example because it showed me just how miseducated you are. If you can't give sources and you're talking about, I'm not going to know something because of a blood type, you're deflecting. There is only a new race of people called African Americans, because he said African Americans is a new race. If you or I believe there is, because race is a social construct. But that's a whole nother matter. Like I said, I'm not kumbaya integration Negro. There's no such thing as a Caucasian gene. I just gave you an example of someone with African ancestry that could pass as white. Caucasian is a word that was created recently. When you look at the ancestry of the race of albinos known as white people, they're an extension of the human family tree. It's a smooth gradation. There's nothing esoteric or secret about it. They are our nieces and nephews, whether we like it or not. When you watch the video, key on the genes that are used to determine the pigment of Neanderthal skin, hair, and eyes. Neanderthals were predicted to have dark skin because they do not have the albino and white versions of these genes. This is a taste of the video, and I give them an article. Where it says the genetics led them to a pigment gene called SLC4582, which has already been associated with light colorations in some animals, including horses, chicken, and fish. And this is how you cross-reference. I have another article where it says, he said that the team that identified 17 pathogenic mutations in 4 albinism genes, including TYR, OCA1, OCA2, TYRP, SLC45, like basically I show him how different articles in different places and different scientific studies are finding the same albino genes in animals, humans, and this group of people you call white people. Or Caucasians, which is just ridiculous, some Johann Blumenbach stuff. And I just give them a taste of how these articles are not, how they're not in collusion. You know, one wasn't even talking about humans. It was like, hey, we found the albino gene in white tigers. And these same genes, TYR, OCA2, TYRP, SLC45A2, these were the genes that they determined that Neanderthals had dark skin because they didn't have those. You know what I mean? They didn't have the white person version of them or the albino version because they're one and the same. So now this dude responds, in how many ways do I have to spell bullshit? The melanin that determines hue in all living things is neuromelanin is a determinant factor. That's false. YK the Truth already broke that down. You have a new teacher. YK the Truth. You have a new teacher. But anyway, back to this. This dude kept going, but he was about to bow out. You have genetically coded technology that coincide with etymology foundation of linguistics. How, if you knew etymology value, you'd be able to properly determine that these codes are factually genetically attached to? He's not telling me how he fact checks anything. He's saying that the etymology is a code. And, a lot of people run that bullshit. Etymology is, and they run this because nobody fact checks it. You'll hear Moors talk about, oh, well, this word meant this and this word, and to some extent that stuff is true. But when people start overdoing etymology and they got a second word for every goddamn word and a secret definition for everything, because that's all esoteric means, secret. We don't know it. Well, how do you know it? And that goes back to sources, which this dude is given. And he says again, no matter the field, the same rule of thumb applies, which is talking to the best. I don't know what he's saying there. Depending on your rank or are recognized, highly respected determines that level of information in regards to said DNA genetics available to you. PhDs took on an oath. They believe they're striving to form the best medium to prove all the same. Like he really is, he's lost it. To prove all, or nothing he's saying makes any sense, which is more understandable, but is still veiling a lie. Did you apply a unique method to further validate what was already there, or did you just watch someone give a visual? If you are doing that, contributing, I doubt that you are conversing here with any of us, so knock it off with the regurgitations. One thing about this dude, Tyrone Bell, is, I mean, he's way out there. He said, so knock it off with the regurgitations. I ain't regurgitating shit. What you have done to put your stamp on what currently is supported by students, but not discussed among top-ranked scientists. So first he's claiming cracker scholarship. Now he's on some top rank. He's deflecting because he can't answer the question. So here we go again. You are not answering a basic question. What are your sources and how do you test them? How do you vet them? So we've gone back and forth this much, and now I'm staying on the neck. Why would neuromelanin be a determinative factor for skin color? It seems like you're talking in circles. What did I give that was coded? However, and then I'm like quoting him. However, if you knew the etymology, you'd be able to properly determine that these codes are factually genetically attached to. What does that mean? Etymology is a study of a word origin. Not all words have esoteric codes. And then I respond to him questioning my methods. And here's my response. I simply put two and two together. I have a link to a study in the Black Neanderthal Eurocentrism video. That study determines that 3 Neanderthals and 1 Denisovan studied had dark skin because they had the same version of genes as dark-skinned people. If they had the same version, so that caused albinism traits and people classified as white or albinos born directly from melanated people, the media would have reported that they were white people. Instead, they reported that, and I have an article, that Europeans did not inherit pale skin from Neanderthals. So I give them that. I also want to give props to 2 teachers, Mike Coon's Real History WW and xyman in Egyptsearch. And guess what? You have 2 new teachers. Real History WW is a website. Neither one of these these 2 guys have much of a YouTube presence. xyman at Egyptsearch or Egyptsearch Reloaded, the website. Listen, go to their forum, read this dude's stuff. Mike is also in Egyptsearch. He owns the website Real History WW. He's got some issues. I go back and forth with Mike all the time. You know what I mean? He's called me an idiot, but he's still a master teacher, and I learned from him. And here's the thing. His stuff is borderline pseudo, but I've tested his stuff, and it checks out. If he would have told me how he tested Pharaoh's stuff and it checked out, then he's in the game. Maybe I'm wrong about some of the bullshit with young Pharaoh. I mean, some of it's obvious. He even conceded that, but you know what I mean. I can test real history, and it does well. Another dude at Egyptsearch posted the article about the albino tigers having one of the same mutations as white humans, be they albino or white race. So I took the other albino genes from the Neanderthal study and just did Google searches on them and found what genetics have recently found all over the animal kingdom. These albino genes are lightening skin, feathers, fur, scales. That right there was a slam dunk. Not only are white people a race of albinos, they are using nature's recyclable bleaching genes, i.e. evolution. That was my stamp. So again, I stand by my claims. White people are a new race of albinos. White skin predates humanity. Neanderthals, as we know them, were black folks. Ancient Asian tribes migrated back to Africa, spreading Neanderthal genes. The earlier claim that sub-Saharan Africans never mixed with them were based on shitty sample size, on African ancestry tests, racist multi-regional theories. I am answering all your questions. This is a response. I'm answering all your questions. He ain't answered the question. Again, you are not trained to comprehend what's in front of you. He's deflection. Perception is everything when you speak English language. Take your KKK infested bullshit somewhere else. See, he's thinking that because I said white skin predates humanity. Well, if that ain't true, look at your goddamn palms. But anyhow, Journal Seti and Young Pharaoh are waiting to crush you in a live debate. Go face... So they just ran from the Amun-Ra squad. Now they go try to go after 42 tribes. And then, so again, I respond. Again, you're not asking a very basic question. What are your sources and how do you test them? How do you vet them? I explain where my sources came from, and I also cross-reference them. You can't even give me an example. That is faith-based pseudoscience. My teachers are black. The Amun-Ra squad, Mike from Real History, xyman. So how the fuck am I a KK-infested catfish? Where the fuck did you get that? That is why Private Seti and his cabin boy Pharaoh ran from a debate, and I provided links about how incompetent they looked in the Amun-Ra squad's breakdown. And I said, for all the lurkers, look at the Black Neanderthal and Eurocentrism video. You can see how much of a KKK catfish I am. And like I said, I am your teacher. Watch the video. Watch the Black Neanderthal and Eurocentrism video. And if you have a problem with it, deal with information. Because it's different. It's a little bit avant-garde, but there's no other way to literally look at that study on Neanderthal pigmentation, because the results were what they were. It's kind of a long back and forth, but the point is, that's the challenge. He could not answer. He didn't even want to. He was deflecting from that, talking about a certain blood type. Come on now. That type of thinking will steer you into a booby trap, just like the motherfuckers that chased after them Asians in that story I told. You can stand on the truth. The truth can be your square. You can come back to that. Because like I said, I mostly debate white supremacists. And the reason why is because I stick to the truth. They get to talk race stuff. And I'm like, look, race is whatever we've made it. White supremacy, and I look at the video where I talk, somebody come get her, white supremacy is dancing like a stripper. Let me give you an example. There's this dude, Keita Barbie. And he was on one of my videos, The Two Faces of Ancient Egypt. And yes, subscribe to my shit. I'm starting to see y'all need us. You need some real teachers. You need some teachers that are straight up and down with you. Yeah, I watched it. And I understand, man, Pharaoh's a hell of a bullshit artist. And I tell people, think about it, because I've watched the presentation. Amun-Ra Squad will do a breakdown on that. When they do, watch it. You will see bullshit destroyed. Because I could do it now. And and like I said, I'm not qualified to be on the Amun-Ra Squad. And I could do it. And I'm one dude. So what that is required from your teachers when they break that shit down, because that dude is a hell of a bullshit artist. And if you can see how his bullshit is broken down, you will be a better critical thinker. And like I said, a community of critical thinkers cannot be touched. And you're not even close to being that. You failed the test. I am disappointed. Zara, Sudan, Seti, and Young Pharaoh, the only people who say that the Egyptian writing has not been deciphered. Just them. You should know they're wrong based on that alone. But if you want to know the facts as to why they're wrong, and you want to know why they lied to you, you You can find out. But I know a lot of you are sheep and you will not even look. But, like I said, you walk into that ambush. Let's be real. You're already in the ambush and you've been in it. That's one of the reasons why Trump got elected. Because white people, they're in the ambush too. They've fallen for the bullshit. Miseducation of the Negro, miseducation of the albino. But anyhow, Keita Barbie. This is an example of how you use the truth to destroy these fucking bullshit-ass white supremacists. Because you can stand on it. You can keep going back to it. You don't have to look over your shoulder. You don't have to worry about looking like a fool. You call yourself Pharaoh, and then you stand up there and call the Greek language a homosexual language, not knowing that Pharaoh is a Greek word. You idiot. I can see exactly why these racists will pick this village idiot to make us all look like idiots. I see why. Anyhow, I've got a video called The Two Faces of Ancient Egypt, and it's mostly notes from my studies. I think it checks out well, because I did a lot of research. I didn't want to run anything that ain't true. Why should I? I shouldn't even took the time. People don't give a fuck. And some do, and that's who it was for. Some of the things I said attracted Keita Barbie. Eventually, if this guy sticks around, you'll see Keita Barbie, I don't know, just an asshole. And very much in the supervillain, like snarky supervillain sidekick asshole type. He's sniping on my video. Yeah, he's making those Egypt is white arguments. And it's old stuff. I think he's trying to see if his stick still floats. And it wasn't. And part of it is because I was just knocking it out. Like he said something about Egypt isn't Negroid or wasn't a Negroid civilization. And I'm like, well, what the hell do you mean by Negroid? Like prognatism? Like the Sphinx? Steophyte figure or whatever, like those fight asses. There's examples of that in pre-dynastic times. White noses, plenty of examples of that. There's fucking thousands. Long, flat skulls, yeah, like King Tut. Dark skin, it's all, like, what are you talking about? So, this dude gets bored and he comes back and he says, here, Egyptians are Caucasian Neanderthals, not Negroids. Top geneticists on the planet, stop your silly games. And he points a link about how white fucking North Africa is right now. And this is how you stand on the truth. So I could just block the dude, but I'm setting an example. So I said, do I need to list all the nations that invaded North Africa or the African tribes of Neanderthal? Maybe both. So I listed Yoruba, the Maasai, the Khoisan, all the tribes that are mixed with Neanderthal. That knocks all the bullshit out. I mean, like he can't go back to that, but I can. And then I listed the people who invaded ancient Egypt, like Sea People, Hyksos, Asholios, Akkadians, Assyrians, Cushites, Greeks, Romans, Arabs, Turks, French, Arabs again. And I forgot the Brits. So of course North Africa is going to be whiter than it used to be. It's been gentrified. Then I said, oh, the Neanderthals are not albinos. See what I mean? You can stand on the truth. You can come back to the truth. You can use it again and again. It is a weapon. And like I said, it's all you need. A literal interpretation of genetics and history gives you all you need to grow. You don't need no goddamn aliens. You know, if a motherfucker falls from the sky and I see an alien, I'll introduce you to him. That's how you stand on it. And that's just one example. Like I said, I snipe white supremacist trolls far more often than Pharaoh fans. And the only reason why I do it is to sharpen the sword. because we have political issues, and you're able to sway people when you make better arguments in the political arena. That's one of the reasons why the Mind of Marcus is your teacher. He's the only other person that says that. And like I said, when it comes to reparations, watch it. If you've watched this video, understand why it's there. We need critical thinkers because you felt the test. It's time to go back to work.